guys. Welcome to another episode of the Hope Akedika show. I'm your host, Hope, and you're here tonight. Promptly should be at 7 p.m. However, there were a few technical difficulties, and I apologize. And to those who messaged me directly as well, thank you so much for your patience. But we're here now, and we shall delay no further. And celebrations are in order this weekend for many. So, wishing those families a wonderful, wonderful time together for those who are celebrating Eid. And today as well, there are people celebrating what some might find a bit mischievous of a day, but there was a day where people were in the parks puffing. If you know, you know. If you don't, then don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, sweetheart. If there's anybody on the live, please do say hello to me, and yeah, we can have a little lovely chat together here today. I am looking forward to having conversation with you guys in the live chats. I love it when the live chats are interactive. Hi. What does the lamb stand for? Or is that a new way of saying hello? I'm yet to learn that one. But guys, let's get straight into the first story. Let's not delay any further. This coming Sunday on the 23rd of April at, I believe, 3 p.m. sharp, there will be an emergency alert taking place all across the UK on all 4G and 5G mobile devices. And this is only a test alert. It's something that the UK will be implementing as part of a scheme to alert all civilians in if there's an emergency. So here's what it would look like a little bit. I just wanted to give you guys a little demonstration because I'm extra like that. But yeah, so it will sound something like that. It will go on for about 10 seconds on your phone, and you do have to engage to say that you have received the alert so that you have access back to your phone again. And the UK says it's nothing to worry about. It's just a safety measure. Other countries do this. That's what's been reported anyway. Other countries such as Canada, China, they all have these kind of alert systems already in place. And in the UK, I think the most common reason that would ever receive an emergency alert is probably flooding. Or obviously there's other dangers as well, but flooding is the most common, especially in some parts of the country, like in the Midlands, in the northern parts of the country. There tends to be floods happening in Worcester, there in the Worcestershire area quite a lot. So yeah, nothing to be alerted about. However, you do have an option. I know it's not been said popular, but there are settings on your phone, on your mobile device. I only know on the iPhone setting, you can opt to turn off emergency alert services. I don't know. I did it just to test out if they're gonna work or not, because the alert states that your phone does not have to, your location doesn't have to be on. It's not based on that. Your phone could be on silent mode. It could be on, on do not disturb, and you would still get the alert. So I just wanted to test it out if me turning off the emergency alert services would enable that message to come through. But that's just me being curious. But have it on. Why not? By all means. I feel like this is one of those things. The conspiracy theorists have come, and they're very much against it. Why do we need emergency alert services? What are they not telling us? And the bandwagon has rolled. So I don't know. I don't see any wrong in a national alert service system. However, I don't know. There are people who think it's a disadvantage. I don't know how this could be a disadvantage, or it is instilling fear a little bit, because there are some people who are concerned, like why now? What are they fearful for in the near future? If this is a system that has run in other countries for many years, and the UK is very aware of it and is more than capable of having such a system, why do it now? But at the same time, we are not speculating. We are just taking the facts as they come and the experiences as they come. We're not going to speculate anything that is not there, essentially. But yeah, we'll wait to find out more about that. It would be quite an interesting experience. And you know what I found really funny? Like, the test had originally been planned for an early evening, but was moved to avoid clashing with the FA Cup semi-finals because football is so important that we put off an emergency alert service for football. You know, this country. How do we turn it off? So the emergency alert will come on your phone. It will go on for 10 seconds, and there will be a message saying this is just a testing for future emergency alerts, and you just have to engage to say that you have seen. You're going to have, depending on what phone you have, it's probably going to be, just to say okay or yes or continue or exit. It will be something of that kind, and it will allow you to just go back to your phone and use your phone as normal. But yeah, nothing to be alerted of. Guys, the next. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, guys. I thought that was something that I had missed there. But yeah, that's essentially it. We'll find out anyway in the near future. It'll be very interesting to see it play out. I think it's going to be a very interesting one. I do hope that more people are informed of this. Like if you have loved ones who are not very, in touch with what's going on in the world, or they might miss this message because they don't necessarily, there's a lot of elderly people as well, or young people who have smartphones and smart devices, and this message might come in and might cause a total panic in them. So, if you can share this message with your loved ones, just to notify them that this is going to be happening and taking place, so that they are not actually alarmed and cause themselves any distress. And also drivers, you have been told as well, if you are driving at that time, um, this message will also be on the radio. So if you have your radio on, you might receive this message through the radio as well. And if it's on your mobile device, do not engage with the alert, because it's illegal to drive and be on your phone. So they did say this is not an excuse for you to say, but I was just checking the alert, and yeah, no, it's not an exception. The rules still apply on the road. So if you have the opportunity to pull over to the side and engage with the alert, then you can do that. But if you're on the road and you're unable to stop, then just allow the emergency alert to run its course, because eventually it will. It's only at 10 seconds anyway. Moving on to the next story, guys. This actually happened in the Cambridge water facilities or company, and there's actually been water errors led to toxic water. So there was some errors that took place in the company, and water was contaminated. However, they did say that this water was not distributed in the Cambridgeshire area or to other local areas that they distribute to, because they saw what had happened prior to distribution, and they pulled the water back. However, there are those who are arguing that water may still have been contaminated, because there are over 1,000 people who have been over 1,000 customers in Great Sheffield and Stalford were said to have been affected by the contaminated water from the Duxford aquifer. However, the water company is saying that that is not from them, and the toxins that were in the water come from a firefighting activity that took place as well, because the chemical that is said to be high in the water is also used in other things, such as like foam. When there's a fire and the firefighters have that foam to contain the fire, it's used in that as well. And my question is, why is that used in our drinking water? Like, why is that even in our drinking water in the first place? Is it to help balance out, like, a certain amount is just fine, but like what was in that water was like 4 times the amount that is suitable for humans to be able to intake. So personally, I'm an advocate for water filtering. So you can either water filter with like a container that you can buy from any shop. I got mine from Lidl, I believe. Or you can have a filter that you can actually attach to your tap as well. And every time you turn the tap on, you can filter your water. If these options are costly for you, then there's always the option to boil your water, leave it to cool it down before you allow it to be, you turn it into drinking water. But yeah, this is the world we live in. Like, we talk about other countries and how they don't have clean drinking water and how we need to donate to them, and we have those causes, and yet our own water is not safe to drink without being purified, you know? And there's so many people who drink water from the tap because they believe that their water is clean. However, that's not the case, because some of the things that are listed here that can come as a result of drinking water from the tap that is not purified, such as, I believe, let me just, where was it? There was a few things listed here that can cause a side effect in people, but it's essentially poor quality life, like health wise anyway. So yeah, I wouldn't advise drinking tap water just as it is. Do you guys purify your water, and how do you do that? Or do you prefer to have bottled water as well? And there's always something with wrong with something. Like, even bottled water, some people say it's a safer drinking option, but then obviously the plastic as well is, is not a safe way to keep your water, I suppose. And once it's open, you really want to be able to drink that water and drink it immediately and not leave it for too long. You're a tap water drinker. Let me go back to my purifier. Please do use your purifier, because my thing is, their argument is that there was a high dosage of this and only a certain amount is allowed in your water for it to be allowed into your homes. And my argument is, but yeah, if I'm drinking that water over a period of 10 to 50, 60 years, then the dosage of this pollution is called a polluted, let me find the appropriate terminology. It's actually in the article. Anthropogenic fluorosurfactant is such a complicated word, but it's regarded as a global pollutant, and this is something that's in our drinking water. So yeah, do filter your water, because I'm thinking, if you're saying a certain amount is not good for you, over a period of time you are going to have that build up in your system, no? Essentially, because the thing about pollution, it takes about 50 to 200 years to get rid of certain pollutions that come into the air. That's why we're experiencing global warming crisis, because the processes that we've partaken into, such as the rocket that was actually launched today by Elon Musk, that went into the sky, and then at a certain point it just exploded into a billion pieces. But if you saw the dust and the pollution that came out of that, like the clouds and clouds and clouds of that pollution, it's going to take about 50 to 200 years for that pollution to break down, essentially, and leave our atmosphere and not cause us harm. But it's Elon Musk, he's one of the richest men on the planet, if not, he can do as he pleases, or or it's for a good cause, I guess, because we all want to go to space, or there's so much to be explored in space. What do you guys feel about that? How do you feel about rich men exploiting our planet for their own benefit, essentially? Because how many people are actually going to get to go to space if they do find a way to, Yes, definitely. There's a lot of things that go into our water. Our water is not just the water that you go and get from the river, and it's not drinking. They say they do it to clean it. I'm like, okay, you've cleaned it. Now why are you adding all these other things to it? It's a business at the end of the day. They have to make profit, they have to make money, and also they don't necessarily care about our health. They don't care about, you know, the long-term effect it can have on people's health, because when you're slowly poisoning someone and you're not just poisoning them in one go, they feel like, I'm not doing it all in one go. I'm doing it over a long period of time, so it's okay, it's justifiable. Yep, rich men playing with rich toys. That's exactly what it is. It's ridiculous, and there's no outrage on this. It's not even, top conversation. I haven't seen it in in the gossip blogs or whatever you want to call them. It's probably going to get there tomorrow, but people are going to be more concerned about, oh, did you see how it just blew up into a million pieces? They're not really concerned about, every day you're telling people, oh, your car is causing pollution, you're not recycling, we're contributing this much carbon, pollution to the world, and then they, in one instant, they produce that much carbon pollution into the world, and it's just, there's no balance, is there? It's a rich club and others rich people investing into it too. That makes it okay. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really make it okay. I feel like if more people were to speak up and we were actually more united in this matter, then it wouldn't be the case. But yeah, there's a lot of power. That's a very unrealistic goal, because there are some people who are fascinated by space and they want to know what's going on. And we have people in space, like you can go to space and there are people exploring space as we speak, right? And they're exploring what's going on there. And I feel like just doing what he did there was a bit of a selfish. He knew the chances of that rocket succeeding was 0 to 0, but it's part of the process, I guess, to be able to improve the machinery and improve the toy or the rocket or whatever you want to call it, and essentially one day, maybe not in his lifetime, but one day that will be able to land safely in space. But speaking of artificial intelligence, there's actually Google rushed to win in artificial intelligence by actually ignoring ethical standards that have been set in place for them to follow. So because of the competition there is for artificial intelligence, and if for anybody asking what artificial intelligence is, here's a diagram that will explain it to you. Artificial intelligence comes in so many forms now, but artificial intelligence essentially is the branch of computer science that studies machine intelligence and, okay, search engines such as Google, YouTube, Netflix, everything that we do essentially is artificial intelligence now. Computer games, spam filters, all of that, that's artificial intelligence. But the reason that Google rushed artificial intelligence is because they wanted to provide a network. I believe it's called, what is the service called? ChatGPT. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but essentially that's where you can ask it anything and it will have the answer for you. Essentially, it would have the right information and answer for you. You could Google how to fly a plane and it will tell you exactly how to fly a plane. You could Google the formulas to anything, or, we use Google for that already now, but I guess they just wanted to create something that was much more, what's the word? Something that could be it's basically like a university degree. Like you could learn how to fly a plane just by reading that article, essentially. But that is not the case, because a lot of people who work in this company have come out and spoken and said Brad was a pathological liar, essentially, that the artificial intelligence is a pathological liar, because according to screenshots of the internal discussion, another called it cringy worthy. One employee wrote that when they asked Brad suggestions on how to land a plane, it regularly gave advice which would have led to a crash. Another said it gave answers on scuba diving, which would likely result in serious injuries or death. And this intelligence is already rolling out. People are using this for information. People are Googling, how do I fix a motorbike? And you're there putting things together that essentially it could cause your motorbike to become a hazard to you, and it's not safe to use. Brad launched Bard anyway. It's been launched. The trusted internet search giant is providing low quality information in a race to keep up with the competition, while giving less priority to its ethical commitments, according to 18 current and former workers at the company, and internal documentation reviewed by the Bloomberg. So there are people who have left the company as well, former employees and current employees, and I'm sure some people just left because they genuinely felt like, it was wrong. they didn't feel right to be part of such an organization. But how do you feel? How much do you trust Google when you go when you know feel something, a lump in your body, or you? I know people, a lot of people self-diagnose now through Google, and there are some websites such as maybe going onto the NHS website and you Google symptoms of something and it comes up with all the possibilities, and yeah, maybe you might be more likely or more inclined to trust that information. However, there are some people who just go on any link that comes up and just run with that information and self-diagnose, and essentially, you know, that can be very crippling to the human mind. It's wrong, and there's young kids who all they know is the internet, the information age. It's such incredible yet very dangerous age to be a part of. How do you guys feel about this being the case? You know, how do you feel about this being the case, that the people who are supposed to provide you with information are breaking the ethical codes because there's competition and they want to be top of the market? Essentially, they want to be the best information providers, even if it means that information is absolute garbage. How does that make you guys feel? How does moving forward when you go on Google, you know, because essentially this is Google, our trusted, our beloved Google. 50-50, but I have the awareness of the information is not always trustworthy, and that's exactly what it is, isn't it? The awareness to be able to take the information with a pinch of salt, and unfortunately not everybody takes that pinch of salt. They just take it and just run with it, which is essentially where the danger lies. And you know, propaganda is a very big one as well. It's something that we study in school, especially with journalism. You know, artificial intelligence has penetrated into the journalism world, obviously, because there are machines typing up articles now. They just word recognition and putting articles together, boom, boom, boom. All those articles you see being released every hour, every 20 minutes, something happened, 20 minutes later, boom, there's an article on it. You're thinking, who's writing all these articles? A computer, artificial intelligence, just taking information from prior articles or information that's newly been processed and boom, put it together and release it out into the world. Children, adults with anxiety, this can be detrimental to them, so they need to be educated on the awareness part. No, definitely, I agree with that. It is. That's exactly what it is, isn't it? Like, for example, a lot of people joke about this, but there was at some point WhatsApp became the information for a lot of African and migrants, African aunties and uncles, and you know, first generation migrants, and they would send this information to their kids and be like, oh, this is what's happening, my children, da, da, da. And we'd be like, what are you talking about? Where did you get this information? And people now, we can joke about it and laugh about it, but some people truly made life-based decisions based on the information that was being circulated on WhatsApp, you know, because it's one massive paragraph and it's quoted in quotation marks, danger, alert, urgent news, urgent matter, and boom, a whole load of rubbish information being circulated around all over the world. And people believed it for the longest. And obviously, through some people to this day still take that as Bible, and they still take that as what they go by for their information. However, obviously now a lot of people are very much aware. They know to be a bit more aware and cautious of the information that they take in. But yeah, when it comes to children and adults with anxiety, it's a very serious one, because even there, like, there are some people who will self-diagnose with ADHD. Is a big one. There's so many people who have self-diagnosed themselves as ADHD as a result of TikTok videos, because they're like, oh, I can relate to all the things that's being said in that video. I must be ADHD as well. And my problem with that is that you downplay other people's actual medical need and health problem, or requirement. I wouldn't call it a problem. It might cause problems, but health requirements, downplaying that because, yep, now everybody is diagnosing themselves as ADHD, and I'm not even trying to take that away from anyone. If you genuinely believe that you are struggling and you have symptoms, then yeah, possibly it's possibly true, because a lot of ADHD comes from trauma and being triggered by certain events in your life, and maybe your experiences in school, you might not understood why you found it hard to be able to process the information or be able to you know put it back into an assignment or an exam. Even though you understood the information, you just couldn't put it back for the teacher to be able to grade you appropriately to the information that you actually, I know this, but why can't I seem to deliver this information the way I know that I know it? I don't know if you've had a similar struggle. I know I did, because I went through school, relocated to this country from Namibia, and there you either pass or fail. And if you fail, you stay behind a year, and you take, you redo that year, that grade in school essentially, and until you pass that grade, you're probably going to repeat that grade 2 or 3 times, and they'll keep you at that level because they believe you've not processed that information, therefore you're not moving to the next level. And as much as I believed at the time that that's a great way to educate people, it's a great system, it's actually very damaging to a lot of people, because I know there will be people who are being ridiculed for being in school at the age of 21 or 19, because what others did at 16 or 17 they couldn't do, they were still struggling to do that. And instead of actually recognizing the underlying or the deeper issues there, they were treated as essentially stupid or unable to process information. And I do hope the education system in Africa kind of rethinks that one. Rethinks like, can you imagine, Suzanne? Did you even know that such a thing happened in other parts of the world, or did you believe that, like the education system here in the UK, that you do your work in school, you might not have had a great year, but you just move on to the next year anyway, and you get a little bit more support in class maybe. You might have a PA teacher talk to you in class, sit next to you and help you with the information, or you might have to go to outside of the classroom and be taught in a one-to-one, more interpersonal level. When I saw things like that, I was like, wow. Say all you want about the education system in the UK, but they try. Like when it comes to things like that, they really, they try. When they try to make an effort to make sure that the education is the education that they provide, which is not completely everything that they need to provide, but they do try to make sure that every student receives that in the best way possible, especially if the school is doing what they're supposed to be doing and the teachers are doing what they're supposed to be doing. But yeah, it's a very, very interesting observation, and I'm hoping to do some more deep diving into that, actually, maybe with future documentaries and stuff, guys. That is something I would really, really enjoy to getting into, to be able to do documentaries with schools and organizations and things like that. It would be a great way to really find meaningful and sustainable information. The only way you can do that is when you study things, when you go out there and study these things in real life, in real time, rather than speaking on hypothetical theories. Are we? I just wanted to ask: are we sticking to the time, or are we gonna? Yeah, the 10 minutes. Okay. You are not aware. This is news to you. Yeah, no, it's very much a real thing, and obviously in the opposite direction, if a student is outperforming and they're doing great, they do get to move up a grade or skip a grade. Like Oprah Winfrey is actually an example of this, and this is in America. I believe she skipped first grade and she skipped third grade or something like that. So she skipped 2 grades in school based on her ability to read very, very well. Going into kindergarten, she was able to read and write big words. So in that sense, it's, I mean, if they're able to recognize that this person is intelligent and they're doing great, then why keep them somewhere they're not benefiting? That I can understand. But holding someone back for 2, 3 years, that is torture. That is actual torture. That is very much torture. Like, that can really damage someone's, even self confidence, essentially, because if they're already failing and failing that much in life, like, don't you think the school should be able to explore other options? Like, okay, you might not be that great in this department, but you might be more of a hands-on kind of person, and encourage the person to go in that direction. Schools could definitely do a lot more. But I remember when I was in school, I was learning about the different structures of schools in the UK, that it's not just what I know them as to be. Like, for example, when you go to school in like a state school, there's schools where, it's more hands-on, and you learn and you do what you're doing at the same time. For example, whether it's agriculture, so you're out there on the farm and you're actually doing it, or whether it's sewing, so you're on the machine, and you're on the machine and you're doing that. And obviously homeschooling as well. With homeschooling, you can do your own thing and play about it your own way, and see what your kids are good at and what they lean towards. Obviously you're going to still try to implement the basics, such as English, science and maths, and I think it's required that they're able to attain those GCSEs. But obviously, in other areas, you're able to be more, you're able to focus on that more and be able to help your child nurture their talents and their skill sets, which I think is a brilliant thing. But obviously, it's a luxury. I think homeschooling is a luxury. Do you agree with me on that one? That homeschooling is a luxury? I think homeschooling is a luxury. But yeah, but guys, that's really the topics for today. We've covered them. We've covered the emergency alert system. So please don't forget. Don't forget when your phone is going off on Sunday at 3 p.m. You're thinking, what on earth is going on? It's just a tester for the new emergency alert that will be implemented in the UK moving forward. But if you do hear it again after Sunday, then be rest assured that it is essentially an emergency, and you need to act on the information being provided to you, because I think after the emergency alert has been sent out, information and instructions follow. Depends for who. And your water as well. I know some people move into homes and they're told, you have the cleanest water in the country, your water is filtered, but it doesn't hurt to filter it again. It doesn't hurt to have a filter, or whether it's on your tap or whether it's, the actual container that you can fill up with your water and it filters it through, or whether you boil your water, because it's an option as well. It's a quick solution. Maybe you might not be able to buy that filter right away, but you can start by boiling your water and letting it cool down before drinking it. It's very much a safe thing to do as well. And it's very ironic, because even for babies, when they're first born, I didn't know this, but you can't give babies water straight away. I know that's not essentially the reason, because I don't know actually what is the science behind that. All I know is just don't do it. So I was like, yeah, they said don't do it, so don't do it. But I think I need to know the reason now, actually. Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for today's episode. Are we cutting here or okay? Thank you so much for joining today, guys. Apologies for the technical difficulties and the delays, but thank you so much for joining me today. And if you have any questions or any more topics to talk or discuss on in this matters that you've heard today, do let me know. You can inbox me. We can always continue the conversation. Follow me on my personal social media platforms, The Hope Akedika Show, and obviously Breakthrough TV on YouTube. Subscribe, like, and comment. There's also much more content to engage on there. and the Instagram channel as well. But thank you so much for joining me today, guys, and have a blessed evening. That will be all for today.